You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Sorry. Hey, y'all. I got him into some stuff.
KFI AM 640. We just had some misunderstandings in the studio during the break.
I want to know what happened because I was.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
That's like, dude.
I'll just say this so people know that I'm not making this up. I'm not going to tell the whole story, Jackie.
Oh, gosh.
Jackie Ray, when she came over to Chateau Le Mans, brought a male friend.
Oh,
Friend. And during the break, Jackie was telling us, good evening, Jackie Ray.
Good evening.
Why they're not more than friends.
And it was a troubling story.
And got to be it was a heartfelt story, and then it turned dark.
But I did not turn it there.
Yes, you did.
Clear. No, I just told you how he
We're
turned
just
it
gonna move
there.
on. We're just going to move on because I can't talk about what you said. It's rated X, and I don't feel comfortable talking. We're going to get ready to catch a human resources case up in here. So we're just going to talk about sports and the intersection with society. Magic Johnson is my favorite Laker of all time, bar none. It's not close. I think he is one of the most transformational players in the history of the NBA.
Agreed.
Even more so than Larry Bird, even though they're put together. I know that's a biased comment because I'm a Laker fan, but I don't have time for all that. In other words, any type of Magic Johnson slander, I have a problem with.
Right.
So
right.
I'm super sensitive to that. But I've noticed lately he's been catching strays, as they say, and he's not even in the public discourse. People just want to insert himself. Part of it is because Bleacher Report had a list of the top 100 players of all time, NBA players, and Magic on the list was number 4. The new generation thinks that's too high. The older generation thinks it's just right, but he's been a topic of conversation. Jeff Teague on his 520 podcast, and Jeff Teague played in the league for maybe, 7, 8 years or so. He's a guard. He and his co-host engaged and I would thought was very disrespectful Magic Johnson slander. I want you to hear it.
Okay.
And then tell me what you think and see if I'm being too sensitive for being upset about it.
Okay.
Magic Johnson survived HIV and his son. That's crazy.
His son is out and gay and feminine projecting. Okay. I wouldn't say he's trans, but everything he wears is feminine. And as far as I know, EJ goes by he, so I don't think he's trans. But it seems like if you're going to discuss the top players in the NBA of all time, I don't see how either his HIV status or his son being gay is relevant to the conversation. I thought it was just an unnecessary shot, both of them.
So, I first of all, it was an attempt at bad humor. The HIV thing, if he would have presented it as an educated statement, wouldn't have bothered me because at the time when Magic Johnson was diagnosed with HIV, it was a huge thing. It was terrifying to the entire world. There wasn't enough education about it. People were ostracized if they had it.
There's that word again, education. Go ahead.
So he really was the catalyst of really not only educating the world, but specifically the Black community, because there was a level of
homophobia is rampant.
Yeah, and we were like,
Even
that is a gay disease.
Wait, we're going to get more into that, but it's rampant. I'm glad you said that. Go ahead.
So he really was the pivotal moment, again, not only for the Black community, but for the world, and really educating themselves, finding out how it was transmitted, and ending the stigmatism for those who did have it, because he kind of proved, I don't want to say kind of, he did prove that if you get proper treatment, this is something you could potentially live with. And
part of that education, let me be explicit, I think it needs to be said, in the African-American community, we were largely of the opinion that only gay people got it.
Correct.
And so when Magic Johnson came out and said, I am HIV positive, it turned all that upside down.
And then for him to leave the league for a while and then come back. So when him saying, he survived HIV, because again, at the time when he was diagnosed, it was a level of stigmatism. So him
we thought
leaving,
it was a death sentence.
Yeah, exactly. So he definitely survived that in a way where he came back, and he came back in a big way, and he really is Magic Johnson. So that comment, if it had been phrased with a level of intellect, wouldn't have bothered me, but phrasing it as a joke, I can see why that's offensive. At the same token, Jeff Teague, he comes from that same time where you kind of look at Magic and he's a man's man. And so having a son that isn't a man's man, when you have a perception about a certain, now that has nothing to do with magic. Let me be clear about that. This is your perception. This is what you think. And so in your mind, he survived HIV at a time when it was very stigmatized, and a son who is female presenting.
But when you say survived, as if it's on the same level to be juxtaposed with HIV. Now, if you know the history of Magic Johnson, his father was really, really hard on him. And I'll never know what the relationship was between Magic's father and his grandson, EJ, because I know that had to have been a very difficult relationship. Right. I know he's passed on, but I don't know when he was alive. So I think that would have been the smarter conversation to have. Maybe I'm just expecting too much. I thought we were past some of those homophobic jokes.
Oh, no. I don't think we'll ever get past those kinds of things. If Jeff Teague had said, look, it's amazing to me that at the time Magic was diagnosed with HIV, that he was able to salvage his career in any way, I don't think you would have a problem with that statement. Because again, that's based in the time and what it was. The son comment, I understand where he's getting at, because he's coming from a very slightly homophobic and very man's kind of way. You just got to leave.
Survived?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You just what he's saying is like, oh, when you're viewed in a certain way, when you're viewed as this manly man, and then you have this son who's the exact opposite of that, and you can still have him in pictures, and you can still have him on the red carpet with you, and the people that he thought
he loves his son. But I take issue with the word survive, because he loves his son.
As he should. To survive. As he should. But in Jeff Teague's mind, it's not necessarily Magic, the person surviving it. It's Magic, his image surviving it. But he wasn't educated enough to articulate it that way. And the reason why he wasn't educated enough is because a father loving his son is never something you need to survive.
Okay. And now, because of that quote unquote controversy, there were some remarks by comedian Marlon Wayans, who made these remarks that I'm getting ready to play about 10 months ago when he was sitting down with Shaquille O'Neal on Shaquille's podcast. It speaks to the rampant homophobia, but with Marlon Wayans, doesn't he have a trans child?
And has been very open and very proud about that. So I haven't heard this. I'm a little nervous.
I'm glad you're hearing this for the first time. This is comedian Marlon Wayans 10 months ago. It's now recirculating because of those remarks that I just played. This is Marlon Wayans with Shaquille O'Neal.
That's why I don't do the same jokes in stand-up, right? I retire the material. I do something brand new. So you good. I got my Shaq joke in. You and Magic, y'all good. That's what you said about Magic. You ain't gonna get me to say that. I just said he had the good AIDS. And what age you get when you live 50 years? I want those AIDS. He's become a billionaire with AIDS. Give me those AIDS. What kind of AIDS is this? Financial AIDS?
What?
Stop. Financial.
This goes back to ignorance, because Magic Johnson's never had AIDS.
Right.
Okay? I just don't find humor in that. And I'm not someone who's so uptight that you can't find, there's things that you just can't talk about. I just don't think that's funny.
It's not funny. HIV and AIDS are two totally different things. He didn't survive AIDS. He is living with HIV. There's a difference. I have not heard. I'm shocked and bewildered right now. Because that's not even a good joke. And especially when you have, one of the reasons why we are so educated now and about HIV is because of the gay community.
But not everyone is educated.
Clearly.
I do remember Magic Johnson going all around the world as part of the White House Council and about the some HIV education task force.
Yeah.
And I thought we were past that. That's in 2024.
This joke was said in 2024?
2024, 10 months ago.
Oh, dear. I know I really got a good one for Jeff. I got nothing for Marlon, except for he should probably retire from comedy. If that's the best that you can do is produce an uneducated joke.
I thought Marlon Wayans was better and smarter than that. I thought wrong.
Clearly, I did too. I thought he was one of those comedians, because you can take even sadness. Sometimes we've seen comedians take tragedy and turn it into something that can make us laugh.
Plus time.
Right. Okay. Tragedy plus time. And if you have an educated joke, he could have, I've heard comedians say, I want to have enough money where I can be like Magic. And if I do get sick, I can afford all the best doctors. Because right now, I've heard jokes like that. It's more about the money he has versus the disease that he has, right? And so I've heard jokes like that, but this was just in poor taste. And the fact that I didn't even hear it when it was said the first time.
Only reason I found it is because people said like, oh, if you heard this, you should have heard what Marlon Wayans said. I said, golly.
He catching all the strays,
All the
unnecessary
strays
strays.
And Magic Johnson has been, I would say, the beacon of the perfect example of how you should represent yourself and be an upstanding member of the community.
Yeah, he is part owner, if you guys don't know, of the LA Sparks. And so I've had an opportunity to meet him a couple of times. His smile lights up a room. He never turns down a hug. He's willing to talk to anybody. Hello, how are you?
Always. When I met him in Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, for some reason he took a liking to me and said, "How are you, young man? How are you doing?" That's the way he is.
And I saw him because I've seen him basically at the start of every season, and I'm like, Magic, and he goes, "I don't remember your name, young lady, but I remember your face," and gave me a hug. He is just the nicest man. He doesn't deserve to be catching these random strays.
It's Later with Mo Kelly. When we come back, we told you about the Shannon Sharp lawsuit. He was being sued for like $50 million from a former girlfriend, 1/3 his age, who's an OnlyFans model. And, it basically ruined a lot of his career. We don't know to what degree even yet, because he was let go from ESPN as far as we know. Right. He hasn't been back. We don't know what his future is going to be beyond his podcast. Well, we know that the suit was settled, and we have an announcement on the other side about that lawsuit.
Let's go.
It's Later with Mo Kelly. We're going beyond the box score with Jackie Ray. And no, I'm not going to tell you what she said off air about her personal life. It's X-rated, and it's going to get us fired.
It's
and
not.
It's
not me.
Jackie Ray, I thought better of you. Now I'm looking at you differently.
You got to say the other person.
KFI.
At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Learn more at asuonline.asu.edu.
640.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
KFI AM 640 is Later with Mo Kelly, live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. I got to tell you, sometimes I don't understand. Not that I know everything, sometimes I just don't understand. Shannon Sharp, public figure, I don't understand why he would involve himself. Yes, he's a single man, but I don't know why he would involve himself as a 56-year-old man with like a 20-year-old woman, or however old she is. She's just the side of a teenager. I don't understand it. And from both sides, both accounts, it was a relationship of some amount of time. There was an allegation of forcible rape made by this woman who originally was a Jane Doe. Just recounting the story, Shannon Sharp took it upon himself to out her by name, Gabriela Zuniga, and also published text messages that they had exchanged to somehow stave off her lawsuit. That didn't go as well as he planned. Right. As it turned out, it was announced over the weekend that they reached some sort of settlement, and the lawsuit was thrown out with prejudice. It cannot be filed again, so it's a done deal. And if you were wondering if there was a settlement, yes, there was a settlement, because Gabriela Zuniga said as much on social media, and then also made the announcement, get this, she is, quote, retiring, unquote, from OnlyFans. Again, back to what I don't understand. How does someone retire from a site where you just post pictures, usually of yourself in scantily clad or sexually compromised positions, or straight up nudity, from what I understand? I don't know firsthand.
She just stops logging on.
But how can you retire? That means like you have a job. I can understand if you said, I'm retiring from being a sex worker. That's an actual job, okay? But when you're on OnlyFans, you don't punch a clock. You don't get any benefits. No one's giving you a check for services rendered. You're just posting pictures, and if people want to buy your subscription, then you get a percentage of that. But retire?
I think it would have been better, because basically what she's saying is, hey, I met this goal. Because I think when you go on to OnlyFans, you're tapping into a very specific demographic who will pay for sexual favors of some sort. In this case, digital favors.
Digital favors.
So this is what she is used to. So the Shannon Sharp situation, I think, I guess to her discredit, that's probably what shot her in the foot a little bit there too, because people are saying, hey, this is kind of what you do. You can't really go. Now, I'm not saying that once a woman says yes, she can never say no. That's not what I'm saying. But I am saying the optics for her looked bad. So what she's saying is, hey, I got on OnlyFans for a very specific reason. To make money from off of men. I no longer have to do that because I got my cash cow.
Right. So I'm thinking she had to have gotten 8 figures.
Yeah, she didn't get the 50 million, but she probably got at least 5.
No, I think she got 8 figures. I think she got at least 10.
Think she got 10?
Yeah, because when she makes announcements that she's retiring from OnlyFans, 5 million is not enough.
Right.
I'm saying she got at least 10.
So she got all of Shannon's Cat Williams money because he keeps telling that he made a whole bunch of money off of that. So she got a lot of Cat Williams money.
I think of it this way, and I learned this from just following the Bill Cosby saga. A lot of these high-profile individuals, especially who are unmarried or potential targets, they have extensive insurance policies to pay out. This is not coming out of Shannon Sharp's pocket.
Gotcha, yeah.
So if he paid, let's say 15, 20 million, it's not coming out of his pocket. He's probably not insurable going forward.
Right.
But it's not coming out of his pocket. So he would be more inclined to settle as opposed to a long protracted court battle, discovery, all the text messages and pictures and liaisons and possibly other women coming forward. If Shannon Sharp did anything right with respect to Diddy, is he paid the accuser off early as opposed to waiting years and having it blow up in his face in the way that Diddy did. He waited to pay off Cassie. If he paid off Cassie earlier, sooner, quicker,
we never would have heard about it.
And no one else would have come forward. And her lawsuit would have never happened, honestly. The other lawsuits definitely would not have happened.
I think that what I find the most perplexing about this entire situation is you have men in power that consistently go for younger women who are just normal women that are probably in this situation to try to take advantage of a cash cow, when there are literally women who do this for a living.
There are things, well, as they say, you don't pay a woman.
You pay her to leave.
There are things that I can think are true of most men, and I'm not going to ask Tuala or Daniel or Mark. They're just going to silently agree with me. Part of the reason why you have men of power or wealth going after these young women is about control. Part of the reason why they're attracted to them is because the woman needs the money from the man and is willing to enter into this relationship with this man because of his power, his wealth, his fame, and can do that for her.
But doesn't a sex worker provide at least the illusion of that? She still needs your money. She's still going to try to please you as best that she can and give you they're professionals at that point. They can give you an illusion of power.
But you don't control that person in the way of, let's say, if Shannon Sharp is paying for her rent, is paid her car note, helped her parents with, building a new deck at their house, whatever. All that has happened in many instances. There's a degree of control because if you looked at the text messages and the lawsuit, it was about control. Doing this, not doing this, go here, can't go there.
Right.
It's all about control. And you don't have that over a quote unquote sex worker who you're paying to leave. You're just paying for the physical act. There was a degree of interaction beyond that.
So what you're saying is he should just pay for therapy.
Among other things.
That's what he should.
As far as paying for it.
Because when you reach, and I've heard that before, people say, oh, it's about power. But you've already reached a point of power. And if you need a young, basically child at this point, because I believe he has a daughter around the same age, roundabout.
Yeah.
Like that's, if something doesn't happen in your mind that says this is the same age as my daughter, I need to have power over someone that could literally be my child. There's something psychologically wrong with you. You need to talk to somebody about that.
Yeah, there is a psychological misfire here. And I can't diagnose him from a distance. I'm not a doctor, but I know that if you're 56 and you want to enter into a relationship, we're not even talking about a sex worker relationship. We're talking about a bona fide relationship where you go out to dinner and you spend time together. And that person is borderline young enough to be your granddaughter, borderline. Yeah, there's something not quite right with you. There's something that's emotionally and I would say mentally deficient. It's not about being of the age of majority where you can legally do this. This is not about legally versus illegally. This is about something that is deficient in you as a man where you think that post-teenager can provide something that you need.
Yeah, I get that. I read an article yesterday, I forget, it's one of the girly magazines, that said that women that are typically walking in their own power versus in their career, taking care of themselves, they are not as attractive to powerful men. Powerful men do not like women who can be like, yeah, no, you can kick rocks.
Yeah,
they don't like.
I would agree that because men of power or fame want to wield that, if you will, in all forms of their life.
So it's
In
not
all
about
facets
an
of their life.
emotional connection at all.
Not really. Well, part of that emotional connection is connected to the powerful or having power over someone.
But not love, y'all. Not love.
Jackie Ray, we're getting ready to take it to the hallway because people want us to talk about this explicitly in the hallway. So, Daniel, we're taking it to the hallway. We're taking it to the hallway.
Yes. Can I tell people really quick?
Yes.
I'm doing a news show every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday on TikTok now, 10:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. So make sure you tap in with me at Jackie Ray TV.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Well, it's later with Mo Kelly on KFI AM 640.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app, live on YouTube. They're still in the hallway on YouTube, I tell you. Yeah, it got kind of blue in the hallway talking about all things inappropriate on the air. But let me say this. If you are a news connoisseur like I am, you're following the news all the time, there's a rhythm to it. And anyone who is savvy about news knows that controlling the news cycle, controlling what is being discussed is very important. It's exceptionally important to politicians. In other words, if you happen to be an elected official and you have to release bad news, you're going to do it on a Friday, hopefully closer to 5 o'clock. So it won't get as much news coverage. And this is something which is done regardless of political stripes. You always want to control the news cycle. But it's our job to recognize when it's being done. What was the biggest story in the world, at least U.S. news last week? It was Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, bar none. And there was also the lawsuit, Donald Trump suing the Wall Street Journal. That was the biggest story. If and when Donald Trump is going to release the Epstein files. And then you realize it was not going in the way of the Trump administration. You had MAGA asking the question, why are you not releasing the Epstein files? And it seemed, if you're paying attention, at each press gaggle, White House press corps, more and more people were asking about that. So how do you get them to stop asking about something that you or your administration doesn't want to talk about? You change the subject. You give them something else to talk about. It could be something that you say is outlandish, or you just give them something else to chase. And this is what President Trump has done. It's clear as day. And I'm going to show you how I know it's clear as day. No one was talking about the Washington Commanders anywhere. Not even the Washington Commanders were talking about the Washington Commanders. Why? Because it's not football season. Nobody was talking about the Cleveland Guardians. Why? Because it's Cleveland. Nobody cares anything about Cleveland. But in the same day, when the president says and threatens the Commanders to change their name back to the Washington Redskins, and also the Cleveland Guardians should change their name back to the Cleveland Indians, when no one was talking about either, and obviously, Donald Trump has no role in either. It's about changing the conversation. And if he's going to be asked questions in the next press gathering, they're going to ask him about what? The Washington Commanders. They're going to ask him about what? The Cleveland Guardians. And the name changes, which really have nothing to do with him. Or they will ask him about how the president is considering an executive order on NCAA athletes' employment status, meaning limiting the NIL deals, which we've talked about extensively on this show. Name, image, and likeness. Why the president has any real opinion about how much college athletes make is beyond me, and it should be beyond you. But if you put it in the context of what's going on, you realize, oh, change the subject. And here's something else that I gleaned, and I hope you picked up on it too. When the president threatened, and I do mean threatened the Washington Commanders to change their team name back to the Washington Redskins, he did it against the backdrop of the threat of withholding federal funds for a new stadium in Washington, D.C. Now, if you really know the story, he won't be able to do that because a deal was made with the city of Washington, D.C., that the new stadium would be in the purview of the city, which means that the Washington Commanders would be dealing with the mayor of D.C., not any federal jurisdiction, even though the land is federal in nature. But that's only if you really know the fullness of the story. But did you notice he threatened it? The president threatened to withhold funds if a deal did not go down the way that he wanted to. Doesn't that sound eerily reminiscent of the Paramount merger? Doesn't it seem kind of strange that publicly he threatened the commanders if he didn't get his way, he was going to withhold money because he has federal power to intervene and throw a monkey wrench in the process? How is that any different than possibly threatening to intervene and blow up the Paramount merger if he doesn't get his way vis-a-vis Stephen Colbert or the $16 million which was paid to him in that lawsuit? All I'm saying is look at the evolution of the news cycle. Last week, it was everything about Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump and releasing the files. Oh, yeah, and he released the MLK files today, which nobody was asking for, not even the family. That's distraction, okay? So we'll be asking next week about what's in the MLK files. We'll be asking about this new Obama conspiracy theory about some coup and Tulsi Gabbard and overthrowing the government from 2016. Changing the subject, but not changing the content of the conversation. And the White House press corps will probably follow along, and they'll ask about the MLK files, which were released today. They'll ask about the Tulsi Gabbard accusations, which were made against former President Obama. They'll ask about the NC2A and NIL earnings. They'll ask about the Washington Commanders and whether they should or should not change their name back to the Redskins and whether the president will withhold federal funding. They'll ask about the Cleveland Guardians and whether they should change their name back to Cleveland Indians, and nobody was asking about that at all or even thinking about that last week. Changing the conversation because you don't want to talk about Jeffrey Epstein and those files not being released. It's later with Mo Kelly. KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. And when we come back, what ice cream flavor are you based on your zodiac sign? It's time for your horoscope.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
KFI AM 640. It's Later with Mo Kelly, live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. And as you get older, it was said to me, but now I know it's true. As I get older, your tastes change. The things that I didn't like as a kid, I like as an adult, and vice versa. When I was a kid, I would only eat chocolate ice cream. I did not like the taste of vanilla. Couldn't stand it. Now, I love vanilla ice cream. Can't tell you why, and I love cookies and cream. And I really don't like chocolate ice cream anymore. I cannot tell you why. I had some chocolate ice cream last week when we had the Thunderbolts ice cream truck out here.
That was good.
Yeah, but I had two bowls. I was greedy. One, I got the one that had like this, I can't remember the name of it, but it had chocolate ice cream. It had the chocolate syrup over it.
And it had a swirl, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that, but it wasn't as good as the one that had vanilla. My tastes have changed. So when I read this to you about what ice cream flavor are you based on your zodiac sign, I'm curious to know if something might be in my sign which has to do with this. Twally, you gave me this, so I want to blame it on you if it's not right.
Well, we'll see.
Aries. Damn it, Aries, you took mine. Cookies and cream. Aries fights to be first and will battle over the most noble or utterly inane of causes. Likewise, cookies and cream are a flavor embroiled in controversy. That's grammatically incorrect. Cookies and cream is a flavor embroiled in controversy and claims of first rights. South Dakota State University maintains that it invented the flavor in 1979. And Eddie's professional ice cream tester, John Harrison, claims to have conceived the combo in 1982. Bluebell boldly states on its website that they were the first to create the innovative flavor. So, in terms of legitimately being first in the blending of fire, science, and ice cream, Aries goes way back to the OG days of the dessert when rich Romans would eat honey-covered ice sourced from the Vesuvius volcano. Taurus, your ice cream is butter pecan. Taurus rules the second house of values and possessions, and bulls are notoriously weak for rich things, not least of all foods that give them gout and partners that can provide financial stability.
Gout.
I feel attacked.
That got dark.
I know, as someone who's had a gout flare up in life.
Oh, God.
There should be an ice cream flavor called Gout Swirl.
No, that's okay.
That's painful.
No.
Please don't remind
I wouldn't wish gout on anybody. Suitably, the pecan is among the most calorically dense and highly fattening of all nuts, and butter is, well, butter. Devoted to decadence, the chorus of Taurus is more, and butter pecan ice cream is just that. Gemini, Mark, Spumoni.
What?
That sounds freaky.
No, that's the Italian ice cream, and I haven't had any of that.
Is that a flavor?
Mark likes a little spumoni. He likes it on a spoon.
You don't need to make that sound as filthy as you just did.
It is, though.
There's no call for that. Shame on you. Shame.
Geminis are terminally indecisive, more than a little nutty, and statistically speaking, pretty into threesomes.
Yep.
Wait a second.
That's your spumoni.
What is the straight line between Gemini's, ice cream, and threesomes here? This seems like a bit of a reach.
It's a little spum-oni.
Making this trifecta of pistachio, cherry, and chocolate studded with fruits and nuts, utterly apt for this air sign.
You make me ill and angry.
Cancer. Here you go, Stefan. Don't get too far ahead of yourself. Okay. Cookie Monster. Regularly blue, comfort-seeking, and chock full of crumbling elements. Cookie Monster ice cream and cardinal water sign Cancer share some consequential commonalities. Cancer rules the fourth house of home and ancestry, and in the broken poetry of the incorrigible and the eat your feelings ethos of the Cookie Monster himself. Home is where the heart is. Heart where cookie is. Math clear. Home is cookie. Sounds like a syllogism. Leo. Who's a Leo? Oh, that's right. Carnation's a Leo. Your ice cream is mint chocolate chip.
Dang it. That's what I would want.
I wanted cookies and cream.
Mint chocolate.
I see. This is wrong. Winning sits atop the hierarchy of needs for a Leo, and mint chocolate chip was born of competition. I have to agree. This is a nasty ass ice cream. In 1973, British culinary student Marilyn Ricketts conceived of the flavor and entered it into a contest to provide an ice cream dessert for Princess Anne, herself a Leo, on the occasion of her marriage to Captain Mark Phillips.
There you go.
Calling it the Mint Royale, Ricketts was crowned the victor and given a silver cup for ingenuity, and the world was given a frozen gift. Yeah, whatever.
So there you go. Passenger Princess, ice cream.
Passenger Princess royalty ice cream.
Mint chocolate chip. Gosh. Virgo, yours is strawberry. That's boring. In a surprise to absolutely no one, Alfred Crowell, who invented the ice cream scoop and thereby improved the daily lives of people everywhere, was a Virgo. Prudish, puritanical, and plain punishing when it comes to their food habits, Virgos are most akin to strawberry ice cream. This flavor is healthy enough to be admitted into the temple of their bodies and close enough to the source to qualify as earthy. Libra, you're vanilla. Popular, people-pleasing, foundational, if not fun, and unlikely to start a war or trigger an allergic reaction. Libra is the vanilla ice cream cone of the zodiac, the hummus of the potluck party, the Subaru Outback of the parking lot. Libra is a sign of partnership, and vanilla was the sidekick to chocolate for centuries, until it went solo in France in the 1700s. Things really took off from there, and likewise, Libras hit their stride when they can strike out on their own and break free of their need to be all things to all people. Scorpio, here you go, Twala.
Let's go.
Yours is chocolate.
That's damn right. Look at me.
Scorpio's a bowl.
Look at me.
All right, moving on. Sagittarius, that's me. Pistachio, FOH. Out of here with that bullshit.
You would get the nastiest one.
Pistachio. I'm not reading that.
Pistachio doesn't have a flavor.
I don't give a damn.
I don't understand. Tastes like
dirt. Who chooses
and
pistachio?
Obviously, Sages.
Who spends money on pistachio ice cream?
Sages.
Not me.
Feisty Sages with their nutty, nasty ice cream.
Capricorn, you're Rocky Road. Invented during the Great Depression and named as a nod to the bleak financial situation facing Americans at the time, this combination of chocolate, marshmallow, and chopped nuts is nasty, but a perfect edible allegory for Capricorn. I put that in there. Most sea goats live through less than stellar childhoods, easily described as rocky, if not utterly oppressive. Yet these people are made to endure, born to build, and set to see it through. All right. Aquarius, we're almost done. Chocolate chip cookie dough. I could have taken that.
I would have taken that one too.
Chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream was born in 1984 at Ben & Jerry's Original Scoop Shop in Burlington, Vermont. Aquarius rules the 11th house of friends and community, and true to form, the inspiration for the flavor came courtesy of an anonymous fan who left a suggestion tacked to a feedback board. Aquarius is a sign of the humanitarian, and Ben & Jerry's has proven itself to be a brand vested in social justice and environmental initiatives. Chocolate chip cookie dough, Aquarius. And closing us out, Pisces. Their ice cream is cotton candy. Blech. Blech. The heartbeat of the average Pisces is made of cotton candy, waterlogged stuffed animals, prescription pills, mixtapes, glow-in-the-dark stars, and Polaroids of their first loves. Since only one of these items has a tangible flavor, it's cotton candy for the cone and the win. No, you're not winning.
That sounded like a description of a rave. Like
yeah, cotton candy is nasty as
It's
a candy.
a rave in your mouth.
it's for kids, definitely.
Yeah, I never liked cotton candy, not as a kid or an adult. It's just like I don't get it.
So Tuala's the only one who got.
He got chocolate.
He got chocolate.
I
Give
would have
it to
taken
me.
chocolate chip cookie dough. I would have taken cookies and cream. I would have taken vanilla. I would have taken chocolate.
You had strawberry.
Right, but pistachio.
Carnisha didn't get strawberry. She wanted that.
At least you didn't get mint chocolate.
I would have taken that.
Look, I'm
That's
taking
for older
all that
people.
chocolate.
Wait, define older.
The grannies, the grandpas.
What
They
age
like,
is granny grandpas? Okay, because my grandparents were grandparents in their 50s.
Like 70s and up. They like mint chocolate
it's
ice
good.
cream.
Okay, I was getting
Y'all
ready.
still young.
I
Relax.
was that laugh.
I know.
That laugh. Yeah. Not young enough to date Shannon Sharp, though, right? Not that young, huh? Thank you very much.
Oh my God.
KFI AM 640 live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
KFI and KOST HD2, Los Angeles, Orange County. More stimulating talk.
At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Learn more at asuonline.asu.edu.